Okay, so we're about to start. We're about to start. Okay, we're just going to do a brief rundown on some core knowledge theories you need to know before we kick off and start working with any form of data. Okay, so the first thing we need to know is what is data analysis. Right, a lot of persons ask what is data analysis, but before we learn that, we need to there's some things we need to know first, right? And number one of them is what is data. Okay, so data is a factual information such as measurements and statistics used as the basics for reasoning, discussion, or calculation. So the key word there is that data is a factual information. Okay, that's one definition of data. So the second definition of data So the second definition of data is that data is information in digital form that can be transmitted or processed. So any information in digital form that can be transmitted as you move from one location to another and be processed. So example of this can be your bank transaction. Those are all data. So the next question we need to understand before you can understand what data analysis is what is analysis, right? Analysis is a detailed examination of anything complex in order to understand its nature or determine its essential features. So analysis is a detailed examination of anything complex in order to understand its nature or determine its essential features. Okay, you can say it is a thorough study of a thing. That's what analysis is. Okay. So we need to know what analyze means. Right? Analyze is to study and determine the nature or relationship of the parts of something through the process of analysis. So now we know what data is, we know what analysis is, and we know what to analyze means. So we are now going to take all of these separate parts and bring it together and understand what data analysis is all about. Okay. Okay, let's know what a data analyst is before we know what data analysis is all about. A data analyst is someone who will study or determine the nature and relationship of factual information used as a basis of reasoning, discussion, and calculation by always doing a detailed examination of information in digital form in order to understand its nature or to determine its essential features. You can just take the first part. supposed to be data analysis. It's fine. Can I go back? Okay. Skip this part. I think I need to save this part. When I'm sending you this document, I will add data analysis to it. It's supposed to be at the bottom here. I think I did not save the document, so sorry about that. Okay. So let's talk about data analytics. So data analytics examine, cleans, and interpret raw data to uncover meaningful patterns, trends, and insights. So let me ask you a question. So this is data analytics. Let's go back here. Data analysis, this is the definition. If I tell you to infer what data analysis is, can you do that? From this data analysis, right? This is what the data analysis is. Can you tell me what data analysis is? Using this definition now.
What is data analysis?
Yes. This is data analysis, right? What is data analysis? There's a slight difference between data analysis and data analytics. Small slight difference. It's almost the same thing, right? But there's slight difference. Slight, very small difference. Yes. So from this now, I can say data analysis is the process, right, of studying or determining the nature and relationship of factual information. I just infer that.
So, sorry, what's the question again?
What is data analysis? Right. So data analytics now is now when you examine, clean and interpret data in order to uncover meaningful pattern, trends, and insights.
So, analysis is the study of the process.
It's the process. Why this is the study? This is the main. Yes, it's the main study. It's like the body, what we are studying. Analysis is the process of doing the analysis, and it is process.
This is the what of data analysis.
Yes,
That's the main study.
that's the main study, right? The analysis is the process of finding out those procedures or techniques. So the goal of data analysis is to transform large amount of raw data into actionable insights. This insight can help businesses make data-driven decisions that can improve operation, increase efficiency, and drive growth. That's the point of all of this. So an example of data analysis in action, right? So imagine a retail company analyzing its sales data. So this process can help them to understand which products are selling the most, during which months, and in what region or which region. With this information, they can easily optimize their inventory, marketing, and pricing strategy. For business, when you are doing analysis for business, there are two things you should be looking at. How can I reduce costs? How can I increase revenue? Most of the time, 90% of analysis you are going to do for business, right, should be geared towards one of those two directions. Are you in this analysis helping to reduce costs or increase revenue? Yes, increase their profit. Yes, that's the truth. Unless it's mostly NGO that will give you that you do analysis for that is they just want to see what is going on. Most of the time, if you are working with business, it's either you analysis help them reduce costs, increase revenue. That's where I'm focused on how to increase costs and how to reduce costs and increase revenue. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is the types of data analytics, right? And I will tell you as we are going through them, I'll tell you what we are going to be focused on in this class. So the first type of data analytics we have is the descriptive data analytics. Okay, so what this does is simply you carry out your analysis in order to do one thing, right? To describe what happened in the past by summarizing historical data. That is why you are carrying out any analysis process, is to describe what has happened in the past, right? Using historical data. So the purpose So the purpose of this is to understand the past, provide a clear picture of how things has evolved up to this point. So any analysis that you see yourself looking at past data, those are called descriptive analysis, where you look for patterns, you look for trends, based on things that have happened in the past. That's called descriptive. So what you most likely get from this kind of analysis is mostly a report. So let's use this example. Say you are doing an analysis for a company, a sales analysis, and at the end of your analysis, you are able to get a monthly sales report showing the total revenue for each product. So these are facts that you're able to find out from the past. This is the total revenue for each of the products. So we have product A, product B, product C. You're able to find out the revenue for each of the products, the average costs for each product, the average sales. Those factual information that you're able to find out from the past, those are descriptive. Like, let me use a real life situation now. Let's say yesterday, someone slapped somebody there. It's a fact. Let's say you slapped, maybe I slapped you or something. So that was a fact. That happened yesterday by 9 p.m. That was a fact. And when you're reporting it back to me now, you tell me that yesterday, it slapped me by 2 p.m. It's a fact, I slapped you. So this is what happened. That's descriptive. What happened. The only thing you're getting, when I tell you to do descriptive analysis, you are just telling me what happened. You're summarizing what happened, giving it to me in a digestible form. Very short and easy to understand. That's what it is, descriptive. Then the next one we have is diagnostic analysis. Right? So this analysis helps to explain why something happened. Right? And this is done by examining the data more deeply. You're not going deep. Most times when people do their reports, they most likely end in the descriptive area. That's where they end. They just give you facts, without telling you why this thing happened. That's the issue most data analysis projects do have. And I will encourage you, so I did any project, right? Try to understand why it happens. It's one of the key areas. And this is going to be focused for this our course. We do descriptive and diagnosis a lot. We do a lot of that. So, like I was saying, it identifies the cause behind past performance or events. So the purpose is to find the underlying reason behind trends, anomaly, or outcomes. So back to this, our example. So I slapped him yesterday, that was a fact. So the diagnosis analysis is, why did I slap him? Was he saying something that I did not like? Was I in a bad mood? Okay? So when you are doing the script analysis, then in some situation, you need to look for extra data to support your claims. That's where you do some hypothesis testing. Yeah? If we are very, very fast, I will add a lot of things to our project. I want us to be grounded, please. For the Excel project, you should be grounded, really, really grounded. You should be able to do the dashboard, to do a report, right? So do the report and we also do deep analysis into that project. So at the end of the day, we are coming up with something. And when I say go and do, I give you data now. I'll be giving you data from that time. We analyze data. You know how to analyze it, how to do your deep dive diagnostic analysis. You know how to visualize it. You know how to report it and present it. Okay, so with the example we had here was the data we analyzed for the sales data. We are now investigating why the sales dropped in a specific region, in a specific or a particular month. So the next type of analysis we have is the prescriptive analytics.
So, let me just do the last one. For example, investigating why you say it's growing. For example,
Why the sales drop in a specific region during a particular month. As for the diagnostic, this is supposed to be, the next one's supposed to be not predictive. Okay, let me just talk about predictive. Right, this predictive is leaning more towards data science, right? Okay. So this analysis helps to forecast what might happen in the future using your historical data and creating algorithms or data models. It helps to anticipate trends and future outcomes. And there are some data models, not a linear regression, that giving the past data, it can predict what will happen in the future. Right? This has more to do with data science, which is not the focus of this one. This is the next level. When you finish analysis, you go to data science. So the purpose for this is to prepare for future events and make proactive decisions. So if you create a model, linear regression model, or any of this beta model, depending on your data, depending on the model you create, you can easily predict, although not 100%, can predict with fact that this happened in the past, this or this is more likely to happen in the future. So most e-commerce stores use this. Right? They use this a lot. Depending on what you purchased in the past, your viewing behavior, they know what to recommend to you. They know what you're going to. When you are in the buying mood, you know. They use a lot of predictive analysis. So predicting example of this is predicting customer demand for the next quarter based on the previous sales. So after I'm done with this, say don't copy everything, okay? I will send you the notes. Just anything that you don't see here that I say is what you should be taking notes of. You get. So the fourth one, not the last one, right? This is the fourth of the four major type of analysis we have, but not the last one. We have the analysis, difference analysis, but those are under these four. So the fourth one is prescriptive analytics. What this does is recommend action to be taken by suggesting the best course of action based on the analysis of the different scenario. Right? So before you get to this point, most likely you will have done your descriptive analysis. You must have known the facts. You must have done your diagnostic analysis. You must have known why it happens. In some cases, you might have done your predictive analysis to know what will happen. Then from all of those analyses, you will now use those information to now give out action, tasks that can be done, or decisions that need to be made. So in any situation, any kind of analysis you are doing, any full end-to-end analysis must end with your prescriptive analytics, right? You have to give recommendation if it's end-to-end. By end-to-end, I mean you need the data, analyze, and give recommendations, which I will talk about the data analysis process so that you understand when I say end-to-end, you know what I mean. The purpose for this is to provide guidance on decision making and strategies based on the data insight you've got from those or other types of analytics. Okay, so the example is recommending the optimal marketing budget allocation to maximize return on investment based on data performance. Okay, so what are the data analytics skills? The first skill is the data cleaning skill. Data cleaning and data preparation. That is the first skill you need to have. Because most of the time you won't get clean data. Data tend not to be clean most of the time, especially if you are not the one that created it yourself. So you are not the one that created the database. It might not be clean, it might not be the way you want it, so you have to clean the data. The next skill is statistical knowledge. Little statistical knowledge. You need to know mean, standard deviation, median, or mode, averages, and so on and so forth. Just little knowledge. Correlation. Right? You do a lot of correlation, so you have to know a little bit about correlation. Then you need to understand how to do data visualization, how to create charts in Excel and Tableau or Power BI, as the case may be. Then you need to have a little bit of analytical thinking. Analytical thinking simply means seeing a problem and breaking it down into its component parts. Seeing a big problem, a complex problem, then break it down. That's what to think analytical means. See a big problem, then break it down. Don't tackle a problem as big as it is. Break it down. Okay? Bring out the objective, what you're trying to achieve. Then tackle it little by little until you solve it. Then you need to know a little bit of programming knowledge. And the key one we focus on is Python, there's R, there's SQL. But R is more for scientific analysis, right? And it's not just for scientific analysis. For Python, you can use it for anything. So we are focusing on Python and SQL. And anywhere you want to work, you know SQL. That's why you're a data analyst. You cannot show me any data analyst job description, you don't see SQL. I'll bet my name that one. You must see SQL. Unless it's data entry, then you might not see SQL. Then the last thing you need is a business acumen. I'm not teaching business acumen. The only way to get business acumen is by working for a particular company, right? Or do research. Another way to get it is by doing research. The business acumen, what do I mean by that? Let's say you want to do analysis on finance, right? You need to have some knowledge about how finance work, a little bit of knowledge, to know some terms that you get around those kind of industry. You want to analyze some tech company, you need to have some little knowledge. The only way to get knowledge is that through experience or through study, extra study on your own end. That is the two ways, and to communicate with your higher ups. That the only two ways to get those kind of knowledge. The only ways to get those kind of knowledge. They don't normally teach you that kind of knowledge. So you through experience. Okay, so the two you'll be learning are number one, Excel, right, for your spreadsheets, your simple analysis, your calculation, and your simple visualization. You learn Python for your as a programming language, a little complex analysis and some data manipulation. You learn SQL, which is to allow you to manage your database, retrieve information, query information from database, and also create database. You learn Tableau for your data visualization and creating a more interactive chart, interactive dashboard. This is one of the benefits of Tableau as opposed to Excel. The charts are more interactive. You can add filters, you can add slicers, you can make it more granular. That means they can filter the information to suit. Maybe I want to look at the dashboard as a, let's say, as an IT person. I can filter all the information related to myself and to show me that with Tableau. As opposed to Excel might not be able to do that. Another tool, this for web marketing analysis, that this with more websites, is Google Analytics. Another tool we have is the SAS, and I've not really touched on this one much. It's more related to statistics. Okay, so these are the main tools. Number 1 to 4 what we will be focusing on. So why does this analytics matter? I think from what I've been saying, can give me some reason why size is important. So give me one reason. Don't know any reason. Why is the data is
Increase revenue. Increase sales revenue.
I don't know. There's many reasons. Think.
I think so. It's the assumption.
Make better decision. Think very well. Something has to come for what we have been saying. Okay. So Daniel, I'm still waiting. Before I go to the next topic. Once we are done with this one, then we'll call it a day. And on Wednesday we'll do a quick test. I don't want to pack too much this week. On Wednesday we'll do a test to know your level, skill level. We'll teach you based on that. Okay? So Daniel, give me one reason why you might need to analyze data. Just one, just think. It can be a personal reason, it can be business related. You can use an example. Sales reports. So why do you create sales reports? If you create sales reports, why do you create sales reports? Why do you write reports in general? Just in general. Why do you create reports in general? Say that in your head. Just say that in your head. Just say it. Let me help you combine it very well. This is very well for you. Just say it. let's use the sales report as you said. The reason why you would want to create a report is most likely to pass information about sales, right? Correct factual information. Like to help you to communicate your findings better. That's another reason. That's the reason to create a report. So for example, if you carry out an operation here, let's say you sweep this place. In your report, you might add you swept here around 10, you're able to finish so and so time. Information that I might need to know. I'm the one that tell you to sweep. And if the report shows me what you did, that me able to do it. Like give me every fact and every detail about what you did. That me myself not doing this. So with your report now, I can make decisions. Okay? I can know if you did a good job or you don't do a good job. Okay, so the next thing we are going to talk about is the data analytics process. This is what the data analytics. Confirm, don't change it. So the data analysis process, it involves a structured approach to transforming your raw data into the meaningful insight we're talking about. There is a structured approach to doing this. Structure. You don't just look at data, just do whatever you like. Okay, you have to follow the process. You have to get the best results at the end of the day. So this process, there are so many processes out there, but this process we are using is from Google. This process used by Google for analyzing data, Google data analysis process. It consists of 6 stages. There are so many more out there, right? Is it Canvas method? There's so many methods, but this is one we are using, but it's the simpler one, one of the simplest one that we have. So the first stage of this process, or the first process is the ask process. This is the first stage. In this stage, what you focus on is on defining the problem, right, and the questions to be answered. So this process is define what you are trying to achieve. You define what your problem is. Is there an example? Okay, then you start answering the right question based on the problem. So this process helps you to set the direction of your analysis. This is the most important process. Without this process, you might end up doing what you're not supposed to do, or analyzing what you're not supposed to analyze. Without going through this process first. So the key activities you do in this process is to identify the business problem or opportunity, define your goals and your objective, determine the key questions that the data analysis, that you as the data analyst should answer, and this also you also have to engage your stakeholders to clarify the objective or the expectation. Let me break this down using this example. Let's say you are working for an e-commerce company and the company problem is a decline in customer retention, right? As people are leaving and not buying as often as they should. So in this process, the first thing we need to understand is your problem or your opportunities. It can be a problem or an opportunity. Let's say the problem is something that is bringing the company back. But this is something that will take us to the next level. Let's say we want to expand. That's an opportunity. Let's go back to this. So the problem was to understand why there's a decline in, sorry, let me read as this here. E-commerce, and the business problem is, there's a decline in customer retention. Like I said, in this, once you know the problem now, you need to ask questions. One question, why is there a decline in customer retention? What are the factors? Right, are you seeing the question I'm asking? What are the factors that are driving the decline in customer retention? So some of these questions I'm sure you answer yourself as an analyst. In order for you to do a deep dive. Okay? So question is personal training, ask yourself, or your team of analysts. So question is a question you clarify with the executive or the stakeholder. So this one, what factors are driving the decline in customer retention? Who do you think you ask this question? Who do you think you are going to ask this question? You are going to ask your team now. Executive don't know anything about this now. So these are questions you are going to ask yourself. Are certain customer segments more effective than others? And these are some questions you also ask yourself. How can we improve the customer retention over the next quarter? These are questions you ask yourself. Let me give you an example of question you ask the stakeholder. Okay? Question you might ask the stakeholder is, okay, this analysis, is it for this last year, the last quarter, is it throughout the company lifetime? In this case, now what you are doing, you are specifying your expectation. What is expected of you? The question you ask your stakeholders is mostly what do they want at the end of this? Is this analysis going to cover everything so far in the company? Is it for just this last year, for the last 3 years? That is a question you ask your stakeholders. You are clarifying your expectation. Another question you might ask your stakeholder is, do you want this as a report? Do you want it as a dashboard? Or do you want it as a presentation? How do you want the data to be presented to them? You need to clarify how your stakeholders would want the data to be presented to them. Different people have different ways they want you to present the data to them. Some people want to see the analysis you are doing. So you are doing, maybe after you are done with it, you show them what you achieved and how you got it. Some people just want to see dashboard summarizing all the key charts. Some people want to see a report documentation of what you did and how you did it. So that's a question to ask yourself. That is under clarifying expectation. Then this part is under knowing exactly your objective. With this question now that I'm asking now myself, what the team of analysis do, I can clarify the objective for this analysis. So let me break out one goal from all of this. Let me get one goal we are going to achieve from this question now. Okay. From this, I'm going to use this question, this second one. Say, are certain customers more effective, more affected than others? So the goal now, what customer is more affected? Who is our best customer? What customer is more affected by this? Okay, as lower retention. Which customer has the highest retention? That's what I can achieve from this. From this question is where you clarify your goals. Clarify your goals and your objective. Once you've asked the question, you've known exactly what is expected of you. How you are supposed to present your data. Then we go to the next process, which is to prepare your data. In this case, in this section, what you focus on now is gathering data. So, still keeping with this example, this e-commerce example, where are the data? Where is the data stored? Right? This data will probably be stored with the IT team. You go and meet them, and this one show data. Right? So this is under preparation. Under preparation, we talk about gathering your data, knowing where your data is stored. The data can be from internal or external sources, but the key thing is that the data must be relevant to your goals. It must be accurate. It must be complete. Like complete, what do I mean by that? Let's say the stakeholder says you should give them analysis from when they started till now, and your data there as for 2024. The data is not complete. It's not. So you cannot work with that data. You need to get all your data before you can actually start analyzing. Or if you are unable to get there, you are now going to go back to. Okay. Yes. Okay, this is a key issue, but it's not an issue in Nigeria, right? In Nigeria, nobody don't care about their data. People don't care about their data. Right? People don't care. Have you ever seen anybody sue anybody for data privacy? But it's also an issue. It's an issue. You need to clarify this data. Am I free to use it? Am I free to use it? Right? That's where data analysis, and if someone is a lawyer and they're going to data analysis, this is one area they can specialize on. Data ethics. If you are maybe studying law, you want data analysis, this is an area you can specialize on. Vice company, I think last year, Nigeria added a new data policy of data privacy that your customer must be aware that the data is collected, they must know for the duration the data is going to be used. And anytime you are going to either use the data, you inform them It's a new policy, but most Nigerian companies don't oppose to that. If people are aware and they actually sue, they lose a lot of money. So as a legal person going to the client, this is an area you will specify on to know if your data, the data you are going to work with or your company is going to work with are compliant with the legal or ethical data privacy laws in your country. So, okay, continue with the example. In this example, where we can get our data from is customer purchase history, demographic information, website interaction, customer satisfaction survey. So these are possible places you can collect data from, merge it together and do your analysis. So the next step is the process. Now you know where you collected the data, you know your objective. The next step now is to process that information. Processing simply means processing involves cleaning, transforming, and making the data ready for analysis. Right? The key things you do in doing your processing phase is your cleaning and your transformation. So some of you might ask me what transformation means. If the data is transformer, data is a transformer. Okay? Let me give an example of transformation. Let's say you have data that is stored like this. The name is stored like this. Turn the capital letter. But according to the standard for your data, the way they're supposed to be, it's not supposed to be capital letter. It's supposed to be this position, proper case. But the first one is capital letter, the rest is small letter. So the process of changing it from this to this is called data transformation. Right? Sometimes it can be characterized as cleaning, but this part is called data transformation. Cleaning mostly involves removing bad data. So for example, an example of cleaning the data, say I have a column for names and I am seeing somebody's phone number. So in this scenario, this data is not, it's bad, it's a bad data, right? You have to remove it. The process of removing it is called cleaning. Okay, so in this process, what you focus on is your data cleaning. These are what are under data cleaning: removing duplicates, correcting error, handling missing data. Your data transformation, right? Standardizing the format. Let me say something. There are situations where you have data like this. This standardization, this categorizing data. If I have age group, I have different age group. Most times you don't want to work with age groups like someone is 10 years, 2 years. You most likely don't want to work with that. What you do in those situations, you will group the age, create groups of age. Let's say from 10 to 20, from 20 to 40, and so on and so forth. Those processes called categorizing your data. Put them in these packets. Okay? So another thing that is in this process is to document and explain the steps taken during your data cleaning process. Like I said, situations might come where you might need to write reports. As you are cleaning the data, doing all these things, the best time to start documenting is when you are doing it. Right? As I'm cleaning, maybe I see duplicate, I will screenshot it. Put it in my document, write what I did together to see that duplicate. As I see incorrect data, I will screenshot, always be screenshotting. Document it, what you saw, why it came out like that. Everything you are doing, you are documenting it. Those your documentation can be what you add to your report. You don't wait till the end of your analysis before you start writing your report. You're writing it little by little. When you are done, you will now format it and make it look better. So the last thing is verifying that the data is reliable and valid for analysis. I think this is straightforward. No need to go any from to explain this. Now the fourth stage or the fourth process is analysis. Right? So analysis can come in the analysis stage. The clean data is first explored and examined for pattern. Okay? I know you must have probably heard of data exploration. Data exploration is simply looking at the data, right, and seeing patterns that correlate with your goals. Looking for patterns that correlate with your goals. You are not doing any deep analysis yet. You're just looking for patterns that correlate with your goals. That's what you are doing in data exploration. Let me see if there's a pattern right there. So the first thing you do is data exploration, EDA. Then once you are done with that, you do your statistical models and visualization. You do your hypothesis testing. Identify potential insight and recommendation. We should do deep dive into all of this when we start. So for this process, you may use Excel, Python, or SQL as the case may be, right, to go through your data. So for instance, by segmenting data, you might find out that this is other data exploration. By segmenting your data and breaking your data into parts, you might find out that customers in a specific age group are more likely to churn. Churn means go. When I say churn, it means decline, they leave you. If I see your employees are churning, it means your employees are going at a, depending on the rate I say. Let's say 50% of your employees are churning. 50% of your employees left the company. Okay, that's what churn means. So from your analysis, you can be able to get your insights like this. Customers in a specific age, example 25-24, are most likely to churn. And from there, you can also start doing your visualization. A little bit on visualization too. Because most times when you analyze, when you are working with Python, as you are doing the analysis, you might be visualizing it as well. Okay? Just to see, look at it very well. Let me use the term, to see it very well. Because when you are working with numbers, it might not be so visible for you. It might not be so easy for you to compare. You have to put it in like a bar chart to see the difference between the categories. So the next step is your sharing phase, right? So in this phase, it's simply communicating what you've learned to your stakeholders. Okay? So this phase now is where we keep saying that data analysis is 30% hard skill and 70% soft skill. If you cannot communicate what you have found, what you have learned from your data, right, you've not done much. Because to be a professional, you are most likely working for someone, you're working for a company. Right? And if you cannot communicate what you've learned, what is the point of it? You need to be able to communicate in an engaging manner. And the ways to do that, like I said, talk about reports. You can write a report. The way you communicate your data depends on who you are communicating to. I mean, like you are talking to a child, you're not using grammar, you use school, talk to the expert, you use grammar. Right? So the first one is using reports. Report are more detailed, your process you took. And then when you have presentation is more or less a PowerPoint, showing them what you found out from the data. The other one is dashboard. Dashboard is visual, right? It doesn't have too much words, just visual. They click on something, it shows them the chart, graphs, from there they can try to derive their insights from that. So it depends on the person, you will choose the method you are going to. Some situation you might end up doing all three. If your own project, final project, do all three. Just be aware. So in this case, what you do, present the findings, use your data visualization tool if you are doing a dashboard, show a presentation to the audience, like I said, explain the result in a simple language and provide clear recommendation. Okay, so this is an example of how you will communicate your findings. Okay, for example, let's say we found out the churn was high in a particular region or age. You just say that, you create a visual regarding that, then you write out your recommendations. Yes? Churn simply means people living. If I say churn, means people living. Let's say people living. Let me use a company for example. Let's say at the beginning of the year 2020, or before the month end, let's say 10 of your workers drop registration and they left. If I want to now give I will say 50% of your employees churn for that month. That's a good idea. Left. That's what churn means. You can use it as customers. So customers can churn, employees can churn. Okay. So the last stage, after you share the information, right, it also creates strategy on how those information is going to be acted upon. Are we together? So in this phase is more or less, if you are the owner of the business, it's easier for you. But if you're not the owner, you have to, it's more important between you and the stakeholder, people that can make the decision come to life. So this financing involves implementing the insight and recommendation from analysis you've done in order to solve the original problem or capitalize on an opportunity. So this is where the organization takes action based on analysis results to achieve desired outcomes. So the key activity you do in this project is to develop an action plan. Most times you add this to your presentation. Action plan. Yes, action plan, step-by-step plan. How they are going to solve that problem or capitalize on that opportunity. Right? You work with the relevant team. You monitor the outcome. So your analysis does not end. If you're working with a big company, you're working for yourself. It does not end when you've done your back-end analysis. Right? You still need to follow up what's going on. Then create an adjustment and adjust the strategy as necessary based on the real life or real time feedback. So these are all the process for an end-to-end project. When I mean end-to-end, from the starting to the finish, you get the results. So most scenarios, you will not be the one doing everything from start to finish. Okay? You will not be the one doing everything from start to finish. But for the sake of this course, I'm just showing you what an end-to-end project means, what it means. If you are working with somebody, you will not be doing everything. But if you are working on your own, you that will do everything. You are the one that will achieve and do all of this process. Okay? It's part of the job. It's part of it. It's part of what you do. And work as a consultant. So that's what consultants do normally. It's even, to me, I feel data is just a new out trend for consultants, but that's what consultants do. You look at what your information, what you do for the past, give you solution to scale up and solve a particular issue in your company. That's where the business acumen still comes into. Because I keep saying data is you can add on to any field you have been before. You can add on to anywhere. Do we go to okay, so I will be rounding up here. So in the next class we will do the test. Then we'll do a brief introduction on Excel. Once you're done with Excel, we'll come back to this note. Structure of an analysis project. You can go through it before then. Right? So this is what we are going to use to write our report for our project. This structure is what we are going to follow. when we are documenting our reports. This is the structure our report is going to come out. When you are writing your report, this is the structure it's going to look like. I'll show you more on that when we get to the project. Just read on it. Okay, I'll send you the material to your WhatsApp. So this is what we call.
I don't know whether you saw the one I sent you. The WhatsApp is sent. Last week.
This is the message. This one.
Yes.
You want me or not?
So, who are the end users of our analysis?
The end users is the company you are working with.
What are the company?
It depends on who you are working for. If you are working for a government organization, the end user is government. If you are working for a company, it's the stakeholders. If you are working for yourself, it's probably your business. Who is Pascal? Toshuku. Daniel. William. Uma. Your name is not your name. So add your name.